the golden rule is treat people like you want to be treated.
Right.
But the real rule is treat people the way they want to be treated.
Right. Yeah.
So.
That's true. I would say in the last probably 3 months or so, I've had people, on the show. I haven't even got all the shows edited yet now, but we have one guy who made $11 million last year. That's what he put in his pocket. Hundreds of transactions. Wow. He's out of Texas. I got a guy down in Florida, up in Massachusetts. I talked to a lady up in Washington a while back. And it was really interesting. They're all doing huge numbers. Every single one of them are farmers.
Interesting.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
And it's because it seemed to be the logical place to get more people to know you.
Yes.
Now, I think, you and I are no strangers to that, and we're big believers in farming. But boy, it's a hard sell.
It's so interesting you bring it up because there's not a lot of people that want to do what we did to become successful in a geographical area. I think that's the real issue. So today, what's farming really about? It's about getting as many marketing pieces to an area as possible. Right. And if you can meet people in that area, that's amazing. But you've got to figure out different ways than just knocking on the door, right? Because a lot of people are reluctant to open the door.
And I think that's where the opportunity is for a lot of people. Where I know when I was door knocking, I'd get 65% of people home, 70% of the people home. Not anymore. It's 20%, 25, 30%, and then of those, some of them stop you at the Ring doorbell. Yeah. But there's clever people. I've had one of our agents that we interviewed here says they just take a piece of paper with them, and when they hear somebody on the Ring thing, they put the paper. Hi, this is Chris.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's like don't forget the fundamentals. The only
exactly.
Matters and see the thing fundamentally about the door knocking was that it gives a person a sense to know who you are.
Yes.
And that's the critical part. I can mail, and they never get a sense of who I am as
Correct.
A person. And if you're a good person and you've defined your brand and you're a good brand, then you want people to know that.
Yes.
So you need for them to get a feel for who you are. We could do that door knocking.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's harder to do today. Good news is you can do television quality broadcast TV today for 30 cents.
Yeah.
So how do you use that? And how do you say, let me substitute my face-to-face with some video? The only thing you give up in doing that is I give up the interaction.
Correct.
When I'm at the door, they get a sense of who I am, but I can also pull something out of them. So you can't do it without video.
Correct.
But they can't get a sense. Now, how now do you use that? And that's what's been very interesting to hear these people talk about.
Yeah, I'll bet.
They're using these new tools, not as ego machines, rather distribution machines.
Sure.
I want you to know who I am and be very, very well defined on what you put out. I tell a lot of these people I'm coaching again is that understand that when you see a great movie, they didn't just show up and do it. They wrote the script, they went through the script again, they changed it and they modified it and then they criticized it and then they watched it and they changed it. And so you do have to think a little bit about how I want to be perceived.
Correct. Yeah.
But fundamentally, I want them to like me.
Yeah. That's it in a nutshell. Is can you carry on a conversation where it's enjoyable? We try to, whether it's a lunch appointment where we're taking people out to get to know them better, or it's someone that we've met in a bank line, we're just trying to get to know them and them to know us.